You told the New York Times that you almost didn't even run for re-election, in part because of treatment from your own party. You said, quote, "It's the incoming, it's the stress, it's the violence, it's the lack of support from your own party. It's your own party thinking you're the enemy," unquote. Do you really think other Democrats see you as the enemy? Do you think Joe Biden sees you that way?
I don't believe I don't believe President Biden sees me that way. And I believe that that's actually one of the reasons why he won election. You know, there's a marked difference between 2020 and 2016 in how the Democratic Party was able to unify, to Joe Biden's credit, before the election and get everyone on the same page to make sure that we vote Donald Trump out of office. That being said, you know, there are, at least in the House caucus, very deep divisions within the party. And I believe that we need to really come together and not allow Republican narratives to tear us apart. You know, as you mentioned, we have a slimmer Democratic majority. It's going to be more important than ever for us to work together and not fight each other. And so when we kind of come out swinging, not 48 hours after Tuesday, when we don't even have solid data yet, pointing fingers and telling each other what to do, it deepens the division in the party, and it's irresponsible. It's irresponsible to pour gasoline on these already very delicate tensions in the party. So we can help. It's not saying that every member has to campaign as a progressive in a traditional progressive way, but it's to say that we have assets to offer the party that the party is not yet, you know, fully leaned into or exploited. And I believe that we can take some of these seats. You know, I think Katie Porter's an amazing example. Michael Levin. There are swing seats. Every single swing seat member that co-sponsored Medicare for All won their reelection.
Right.
And so the conversation's a little bit deeper than that, than just saying, you know, anything progressive is toxic and a losing message.
So that was yet another fantastic interview by AOC with Jake Tapper on CNN. And she's responding to the immediate criticism of neoliberal hacks in the Democratic Party and a lot of Biden Republicans like John Kasich and others who immediately came out, even before the election was formally called by networks like CNN, to blame AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Bernie Sanders, and so many others, blame grassroots activists for costing them House seats, for costing them the Senate, for making the presidency a lot closer than it needed to be. And AOC didn't start this fight. AOC was trying to preach goodwill in these early first few days of Biden's victory, but she had to say something because she was being attacked and her comrades were being attacked. And so basically what she's saying is, look, one, this isn't productive, but two, if we're going to get real here, Democrats that ran in swing districts, that ran in districts that are slightly red or slightly blue, but who endorsed Medicare for All and were generally progressive, like Katie Porter, she was a Warren supporter, they won re-election. And in some cases, they didn't just win, they grew their margin of victory vis-a-vis 2018, showing that Medicare for All isn't just a policy for D plus 10, 20, 30, 40 districts. It's not just a policy for New York and San Francisco. It's a policy that can play in hundreds of districts, even ones that lean Republican, at least a little bit. And what AOC is noting here is that the left has a lot to bring. And the party thus far has not engaged with the left. And she notes something critical later on in the interview, but also in some of her other discussions, that fundamentally, one of the problems with the Democratic Party, maybe not with Biden in particular, but with the party more broadly, is that they see their base as an enemy. They see their base as a threat. They see their base as an obstacle. That it's not just left-wing congresswomen and Bernie Sanders. They see young black activists and other progressives. They see them as obstacles to victory because these people are embarrassing them, or they're too radical, or they want too much too quickly, or they're asking for things that are unpopular like racial justice. And if only these people would give us their votes and their labor and their money, but not their voice, we would be so much better off. And AOC is not standing for that, nor should she. And this is connected to an interview she did with the New York Times that was published last night. A lot of people are talking about it this morning, that really gets some of these points across. And I want to read you two excerpts. The first one is basically her saying that the left has tried to help the party and the party hasn't let us, and it's one of the reasons they're losing. So she says, "I've been begging the party to let me help them for 2 years. That's also the damn thing of it. I've been trying to help. Before the election, I offered to help every single swing district Democrat with their operation, and every single one of them, but 5, refused my help. And all 5 of the vulnerable or swing district people that I helped secured victory or are on a path to secure victory. And every single one that rejected my help is losing. And now they're blaming us for their loss. So I need my colleagues to understand that we are not the enemy, and that the base is not the enemy, that the movement for Black lives is not the enemy, that Medicare for all is not the enemy. This isn't just even about us winning an argument. It's that they keep going after the wrong thing. I mean, they're just setting up their own obsolescence." And she's right. She's trying to help these people, saying, look, fundamentally, if you don't shape up, you're either going to get replaced by people like me or a Republican ghoul. That's what's going to happen. So you can get on board and embrace a couple key progressive policies and make the country better and save your own job, save your own cushy paycheck, or you can run on nothing and get replaced by a Republican ghoul. And AOC, people think that the left just wants to tear things down. The left hates the right more than the center because we're farther away from them. The left, more than anybody, wants to see Republicans defeated everywhere. We don't always agree about the way to do it, but we want them gone more than anyone. It's people like Biden and Pelosi that are always saying we need a strong Republican Party. The Republican Party, in my estimation, needs to die, right? And AOC would agree that we want every Republican everywhere defeated. And so we want to help people in vulnerable areas to get that slight edge to make that victory happen and to bring that defeat. And if that means those people need to shape up on their digital organizing, as AOC has been noting in interviews, it's not even just about ideology. It's about a lot of moderate, older Democrats not understanding modern campaigning, especially when you can't knock doors. Or whether it's on policy, then, we're going to try to help them. And she also notes this, and I want to just underline this because it kind of goes into this idea that the base is not only taken for granted but seen as an enemy. And she notes this in the interview where she says, "If the party believes after 94% of Detroit went to Biden, after Black organizers just doubled and tripled turnout down in Georgia, after so many people organized Philadelphia, the signal from the Democratic Party is the John Kasichs won us this election." I mean, I can't even describe how dangerous that is. John Kasich brought nothing. Ohio was still a mess. He brought nothing. Do you know who brought stuff? Stacey Abrams. I know she's a corporate Democrat, but she brought something. People like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, they drove turnout in Minnesota and in Michigan. They didn't need to pull votes. Their districts are D+20, D+30, maybe even more. They're in some of the deepest blue districts, especially in the Rust Belt. They didn't need to do anything. They were doing it for Biden to stop Trump, to help ensure that the Democrats won Senate and statewide elections and down ballot elections. They were doing it for everybody but them. That was the left. Whether it's the left in Congress or whether it's Black Lives Matter, working class trade unionists, people fighting for economic and social and environmental justice, the base delivered this victory. They did. And again, I'll underline this again. I've said it multiple times over the last few days. It was in Florida, which Biden lost, and ghoul Democrats lost, where Trump won and ghoul Republicans won, where in that same state, more than 60% of people voted for a $15 minimum wage. How else can you describe that, explain that, but as a failure of the Democratic Party? And you can't. So I want people to know that AOC is extending the olive branch. We're still going to primary retrograde Democrats. Of course we are. But she's extending the olive branch, saying, look, we want to all defeat Republicans, and the left, whether it's outside of Congress or inside of Congress, is willing to help if you let us help. But if they change their mind, we're here to help. If not, they'll be gone either by our hand or by a Republican hand.